Hey everyone, welcome to Automation. So today we are going to be making the last car in the series for the Autoflux Games Season 2. What's going to be happening is I'm going to be making this car this week, and then next week will probably be some kind of trailer, and then the week after that the games will actually start. So it's not going to be for 2 weeks that you'll actually see these vehicles, at least I think so. That's the current plan. Things could change. So let's talk about what's going on today. We are going to be making a lowrider. I know I saw your suggestions. I made a comment on the last video specifically to see what you wanted to see, but something that kind of stuck out in my mind from reading those comments was like older cars, stuff that I don't usually mess with just because I'm not very good at modeling them, as you may see today. But what I was thinking is, let's combine some ideas that I had and some of your ideas together, and let's make an older 1975 lowrider. So when it comes to this kind of stuff, we're basically just going to go realistic, except we'll go double wishbone because the double wishbone can go very low and it can also go very high, so it's kind of the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, we aren't able to actually put hydraulics on the cars in automation. That would be pretty cool, but we can just kind of pretend by adding this suspension. Engine wise, well, naturally we're going a V8. We'll make it naturally aspirated. Let's make it, I'm going 60 degrees, I don't know. But I'm thinking probably, let's raise that up, and then we'll raise this down. Let's make it a 5.7. And naturally it's going to be push rods as well. Push rods, cast aluminum. It doesn't need to have much power. We're just gonna go cast, we'll go heavy duty cast. Maybe like 300 horsepower is all we need out of this. Just nothing too crazy. So when it comes to fuel, something I do not do very often is carburetor. So we're going carburetor. Let's do a 2-barrel carb. We'll do a single carb, but we'll make it a performance intake. We might have to change that up. Also, yeah, leaded fuel. But we might have to change that up in the event that we don't make as much power as I want. This car is going to be heavy, so in order to even be competitive in the games, it's going to need some power. I think 300 is reasonable, but we'll have to see. And these cars are more for show, so we're going to put on the long tubular headers just because they're nice and fancy. Obviously dual exhaust as well. Make that a little bit bigger. We'll get to tuning in a second, but yeah, it seems we've got some issues right out of the gate. So without really trying, it makes 185 horsepower, but the pistons are wanting to die, which is likely due to the RPM limit. But what we can do to start to fix some of these issues is just kind of raise the fuel mixture. We're not really worried about fuel economy, so yeah. So something I want to do is actually go for a reliable engine, so I think we might have to switch to forged. We'll just skip all the cast stuff. It's just not going to work out for us. Basically, we're going to be able to raise our compression a little bit higher and probably get up that cam profile as well. And then we can raise the RPMs and just gain a ton of power. Okay, maybe not that much. So I switched it to a 4-barrel carb. I think that's a little bit better for performance. I mean, it shows in the numbers, but our intake was quite significantly restrictive, so I needed to increase it. Now the exhaust is restrictive, so we can get up to 250 horsepower without even trying once again. As long as we start to just mess with the compression a little bit here and there, we should be able to get up to the goal. Alright, so the pistons are kind of wanting to die, and same thing with the conrods, but we have managed to make it up to 300 horsepower. The engine could definitely get more, but I'm fine with it. We're using all of our fuel. We are using the good power band as well. It's actually kind of smooth, and it's got a decent amount of torque, which is partially just because of the way that I've oriented this engine, but I think that's a pretty decent 5.7. Just had to raise up the quality sliders just a little bit. But here is where it is most important on a lowrider. It's going to be about style. So the body we're starting off with, the only thing I don't really like about it is that it's extremely square, and we can't change that. So we're kind of up against a slope here. We're going to have to climb, and hopefully it'll turn out decently. I did do a little bit of a pre-build on this just to make sure that it looked the way I wanted it to, and to be honest, it didn't look the way I wanted it to. So we're going to have to, yeah, take our time here and do this right. Hopefully it'll turn out okay. I do have some reference photos, so yeah, usually when I use references it turns out a bit better than without. So we have some options here. We can decide whether we want to, oh yeah, no, we have to have chrome rims, by the way, and chrome brakes too. But we can decide whether we want to go two-tone or whether we want to go for a single tone. And I think right now I'm really liking this light blue and white. So we're going to go with this to start off with. Hopefully it'll turn out okay as we continue forward, because the fixtures are incredibly important. So right out of the gate, let's just go for rim. When it comes to rims, I was thinking that we only have one choice. It's gotta be these spoked ones, like it just has to be. Now the grille, now this is where things get difficult. We need to come up with a good style for this car. I don't want to exactly replicate the, I guess it would be a Monte Carlo that this is based on, but I don't want to make it exactly like that. I want to have my own design, but we're going to take some design elements from that car. So it's got a grille like this, sort of, and then it has a badge here. We'll try and do that. It also has a stick-up badge here, which is kind of hard to do because I don't have a mod for it, but we will try to do something with that as well. Okay, headlights. Headlights are always important. I think what we're going to do is have these. Obviously, oh, it looks a little odd right now. We can't leave them the stock colors. They have to change. But chrome is a big theme with this car. This is sort of the Disco Puck 2.0 for me. We are going to chrome everything that we can. Oh, and I totally forgot, we didn't change the color of the window trim. The trim has got to be chrome. There is no other option here. Oh yeah, there we go. So by changing the window trim chrome, we have the option to change these to be chrome, and obviously we're gonna take it. It's a little weird, but I like it. I think that this is gonna turn out okay. Next thing that we need to do is add some trim. This car is going to have a lot of trim. It's going to be chrome trim, as you would suspect. So let's just get started with that. Oh yeah. Okay, we're getting there, slowly. For the front end, I sort of have an idea in mind, and I really want to test it out to see what we can do with it. Alright, so there's the front for now. One thing that we probably should add, just for tuning's sake, is a lip. I don't think that these cars would actually have lips, but for the sake of the build, we're going to add one. It's not going to be blue, so don't worry. We will make it white, the same color as the lower portion of the car. It does add a little bit to it, but it just means that we can tune the downforce because we're probably going to need it. 300 horsepower, and yeah, just wait till you see what we're doing with the wheels. So badges are pretty important. Unfortunately, I don't have the mod that allows you to put stick-up badges on cars, so we're just going to have to improvise. I don't exactly know how I'm going to do that yet. I haven't figured it out, but we should be able to figure it out eventually. We could also lie and just say that it just put EFI right here. I mean, it's not terrible. Now, something that is always important with this is we need trim all the way down the car. It needs to have chrome representation everywhere. Okay, so we've got that there. I think I might switch it for... yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Now, one thing I wanted to be able to do was put a piece all the way around the rim, of like the lip of the wheel, but we can't do that, so we're just going to have to pretend. We'll just have to keep following the body line and see what we can do with it. Okay, it's starting to take shape. I'm really liking the way that it's coming out, actually. I was worried, but we're getting there. Alright, it's simplistic, but it's like perfect 70s. I'm really thinking that we're heading in the right direction. Let's start to add some of the smaller details. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it, but every time I'm just wondering what I'll do on a car, I just start adding in the other things that I'm missing. Like, obviously we're missing door handles. I'm just picking everything chrome right now, but we're missing mirrors, so we need some mirrors. This thing is starting to remind me of like Grove Street, San Andreas type stuff. Oh yeah, those like 50s style mirrors really bring it together. Just a little bit bigger. It's turning out interesting. Okay, so we need a rear of some kind. I'm still trying to think of what I want to add to the front. I like the nice clean look of it though. Like, you don't need that much if it's nice. So let's go to the back first. We'll see what we can do with it, and then we'll move on to the front once again and see if we're missing anything that's necessary. Alright, so for the headlights, I've improvised once again. Trying out something a little bit different, or sorry, rear lights, I mean, not headlights. Yeah, so I'm trying out something a little bit different. Basically, I put a grille behind the lights because these ones don't have outlines. So now it's chrome straps and then chrome around the back. Obviously, we need something to fill in this middle piece, but starting to get there. The thing is, should we put the rear license plate down or should we put it up? Okay, first things first, let's copy the front end only with the rear end, because we need some sort of continuity here. We'll just have to bring this piece out. I'm just using these trim pieces, and all I'm doing is coloring them chrome. Like, it's that easy to get a nice chrome side trim. And then I'm gonna line it up with this as well. It's not quite on the lip because I'm trying to cross the line of the body changing color, but I think that works just like that. And then what we can do is just do the same thing that we did before. Just take these, mirror them, and color them chrome. Right, so we have to do something with this big empty space. It can't just stay like that. Oh boy, okay, hold on. Gotta think for a second. What do we need? What can we do? More chrome? Is that always the answer? Right, so one thing that I forgot about was the badging. We still have to come up with a symbol for this car. We still need some sort of manufacturer for it as well, and a name. Those are things that I probably should have thought of before, but I haven't. Generally speaking, like with the Saint, for example, I was thinking Saints Row when I named that, and so it was called the Saint. For this one, I feel that we should probably call it the San Andreas, because of course. Okay, before we go and put actual numbers on it though, what I want to try and do now is probably not going to work, but let's give it a try anyways. So we have a big hood scoop, right? But what we can do is shrink it down to be incredibly small. And then if we bring it up to here, and then like continue to shrink it more and more, we may be able to put something onto it. Obviously we'll have to change the color of it to chrome, because it's gotta be chrome. But we can probably fit a symbol on it. Hopefully. Okay, so apparently they can't go on fixtures? Is that the issue? I can't get it to go onto this. A valiant attempt at the very least. Or we could do something just like a little hidden feature. Just a mini supercharger. It almost works. Like, we could probably get away with this. Alright, it'll be our little secret, but there is a mini supercharger on the hood of this car. This is the best creation I have ever made. And you know what? One thing that we definitely cannot go without is some sort of sticker representing what this is all about. We're talking about San Andreas here. We need mountains. And yeah, I've picked out the triangle for this manufacturer's symbol. I don't know, I just figured that it would work. I kind of like the way that it looks, so I think that might be it. One thing that we may add, depending on how bad the wheel spin is a lip. I guess just quickly we can try it. These lips I have had a lot of issues with in the past, but they should go... Okay, maybe not. They should go pretty decently on cars that are really square at the back, but generally speaking, they don't work too well. I mean, it's working, but it's not really working. Okay, I mean, worst case scenario, we can put a lip on it. Yeah, that would have to be definitely worst case. We can make it chrome, though. Okay, maybe not. I'm having second thoughts about all this. You know what? I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna need it to tune down for us, because the next part here gets a little bit interesting. So rear wheel drive, naturally. We'll make it an auto. I'll make it a 4-speed. You can go up to 250 actually, which is pretty high for this car. I was not expecting that. Let's just kick it up there. Spacing, low and slow. This thing is not meant to be fast. Let's just go open diffs for now. We're going to need radials, sports compound. Okay, we're probably going to need semi-slicks. But here's where the fun of the lowrider crowd comes in, because the wheels are not average wheels. They are small. They are tiny wheels. So we're going to make our wheels just as tiny. We'll have them poking out just a little bit though. And we'll lower the wheel size as well. Let's make them magnesium and yeah, just the tiniest of wheels on there. It's hopefully going to drive. Oh, I just realized we totally missed exhaust. So we had dual exhaust. Let's put dual exhaust on it. Just a little bit more chrome. Why not? Okay, so back to the wheels. Yeah, I think that's going to be how we go. This car is not going to drive well. I can guarantee that. When it comes to the graphs and stuff, we haven't even got them out yet. But once we get there, it's probably going to have issues. Don't worry about it. It's all in the name of style. Okay, so when it comes to brakes and things, let's just do solid discs at the front. We'll do 1-piston solid discs at the front and the back. Hopefully it'll stop. I don't know. We'll adjust that as we need to. Wing angles, probably going to need the rear wing down quite a bit. And we will probably just leave everything like that. I've been doing basic interiors, but this thing would be handmade for sure. But just to be consistent, every car is getting the same thing. No traction aids, uh-oh. This might not turn out well. Unfortunately, we only have these 3 options back in 1975 for suspension, so we're going to go hydropneumatic. We might shift over to standard if we need to. Okay, so it has issues with wheel spin. I guess that's kind of what you could expect. We haven't even set a preset for the suspension yet, so I'm going to say comfort. So if we have a look at it, one thing that I want to do with this build is slam it. But another thing I want to do with this build is raise it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to export this car twice. We're going to export it with max ride height, and we'll export it with minimum ride height, and then we'll use those two cars interchangeably during the games. So yeah, this car is actually two cars. It's the high version and the low version competing together as a team. Just a quick check, it actually doesn't weigh that much. It's only 1,290 kilos, despite being all steel and a ladder frame. So I don't know, I guess it's not a very particularly heavy car, which is kind of a good thing. Alright, so the graphs. We have some things that we need to fix. 0 to 100 in 7 seconds is pretty slow. We have negative downforce at the front, we can fix that. Braking versus grip. Currently, the brakes are low. I mean, you can see that here. Like, the front line needs to be above this, and the same thing here. Yeah, somehow we need to get the sportiness down and the comfort up. We will see how this goes. So first things first, we got to increase the size of the brakes. We'll just make them as big as they need to be. We don't care about weight or anything like that. And the front brakes are as big as they can be. We will increase the rears then. Oh boy. Okay, we can probably turn this down. We could probably go vented discs at the front. But because of our wheel size, we're not getting any bigger. Just to keep things organized, we'll go very simply 2 piston fronts, 1 piston back. I think that makes sense. We've got nice big brakes. We actually have huge brakes on the back in comparison to the front. Doesn't make any sense, but it'll work. Okay, so you can see that the line here is a little bit farther out than it should be. We have lost a little bit of top speed. And we do have wheel spin issues. I'm going to put an automatic locker in it just right out of the gate. I think that's probably going to be the only way that we actually can put power on the ground. I mean, I've made the mistake with the disco puck in the past of not having proper diffs, and it was a bit of a disaster to drive. One thing that we can also do, I'm going to increase the front wing angle. I want to have at least some downforce. And let's increase the brake airflow as well. I really don't like it when it's negative downforce. And then the faster you go, the more uplift pressure you make, and then you fly away. Okay, our gearing has helped. Our top speed, or sorry, not our top speed, but our 0 to 100 speed is currently 0.6 seconds faster. We are also way out of line once again. The wheels are probably not right. Maybe with just a couple of slight adjustments we can fix it. I mean, having the rear wheels bigger is generally a good thing, but at the same time it's like, what about this? We need the low ride life. Oftentimes it comes down to like, do I want to make this car good or do I want to commit to a theme? And in this case, let's commit to the theme. We'll be okay with a couple of issues. As long as the wheel spin isn't that big a deal, I mean 73%, it's not that bad. Okay, it's kind of bad, but it's not that bad. We should be okay. So I think that's it for the San Andreas. This is going to be the San Andreas low version, and I will also export a high version as well for us to test out both of them in Beam coming up next. So just as a heads up, my settings have changed ever so slightly. I have partial shadows on now and no depth of field. Beam these days isn't running as good as it used to, especially last time I was trying to stream, so it may look a little bit different, just a heads up. But here are the cars in question. This is what the San Andreas looks like when exported to Beam. I think they actually came out pretty nicely. I like the way that it looks. I like the way that the high one looks, especially. It is hilarious. The low one is perfectly fitting as well. And the mini supercharger is rendered in all of its glory. So the next question you may be asking is, how good do they drive? Well, here is a bit of a listen into what we're dealing with. Alright, let's start it up. Oh yeah, it's time to take it for a spin. Yeah, by spin I mean very literally spin, as it is full of wheel spin and pretty much does nothing except wheel spin. But I mean, it drives decently enough. It wallows around. It is very, very squishy. It's not very firm. It's kind of boaty. But hey, I mean, it gets you places, and that's all that matters. The real deal with this thing is the styling. Just driving around town, all you're really doing is cruising at like 40 kilometers an hour down the district, letting people know you're there by blasting loud tunes and, well, being a very loud car as well. Yeah, I'll have two number 9s, a number 9 large, number 6 extra dip. I mean, overall, this is just the kind of car that you cruise down the road with. It's not meant to go fast. It's really just meant to go to the local meetups and bounce around. And I think we've succeeded in making something that can do that, at least theoretically. So this is what the low version is like. Let's test out the high one and see how much different it is. Right, so the high one sounds the same, but obviously its suspension is going to feel completely different as it is much, much taller. It does have a little bit of bounce to it. Ooh. Well, we can definitely go off-roading in this as well, I've just realized, except apparently it does not like curbs, as that last collision seems to have broken it. Quick visit to the auto repair's place and we're good to go. Just wheel spin right down the lane as we leave it. So the tall version is basically the same, like it's the same performance-wise. The only difference is it's much, much more wobbly. You take that center of gravity and you raise it up this high. It's just dangerous. I think we're going to have to do a lap with both of these cars to see what is truly capable of. Oh goodness, it's about to... yeah. It's just dangerous. So, just a quick thing. We can lock the rear diff. Let's give that a shot. And then... okay, no wheel spin, which is a bonus. Actually, when I did this the first time, it did wheel spin, so it might just be the tall version. But doing this kind of limits our handling. Yeah, but it makes us incredibly good at drifting. That's definitely something to consider. Right, so because we're doing 2 lap times this time, I figure it's a good idea to just like get into it. Let's give the low one a run. By the way, I've uploaded these files to the drive. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this, if not, it'll be by the end of the day, on Friday when you're seeing this. But this is the L version, the low, and then high I've labeled H, so it should be pretty easy to see. For those of you who are new, we're doing the Hirochi Raceway. It is the medium race circuit, and top car currently is the Bamero, followed by the Saint Ultra R, which was an attempt to beat the Bamero but failed. Then we have the Group C Owl. Down low at the bottom, the stuff that we're kind of competing with today, we have the Sestiva Trim 8, which is actually the Bugo, it just didn't name it right. The Rhino, which is incredibly heavy, and we have the Panther Tree Turbo. I anticipate that these lifted and low versions will probably be like 7-8 somewhere, so probably between the trucks here. That would be my guess. Alright, here we go. This is the low version going around the track, and immediate wheel spin from both wheels. I'm going to leave the diff unlocked for now, just because I don't want to drift the track, I want to drive it. I am using a controller, but I have not driven on this track for a while, so things might be a little bit shaky. That being said, we did do a 4-hour live stream 2 days in a row. Actually, the first one was 3.5, the second one was over 4, where I was driving the entire time, so I should be able to do a little bit better than before. We've got to give these cars a fair shake after all. Okay, brakes. I just locked them up significantly there, but they do exist, which is good. We do have some pretty decent brakes on this car. The back ones in particular are massive, but yeah, just a little design quirk. Okay, when it comes to handling, it's actually not bad. Other than the bouncing, okay, it might be the double wishbone and the small tires, but it handles pretty well. And then down the straight, I mean, once it clicks into that gear, this is an auto after all, so we can't really do much, but yeah, once it gets into the right gear, it really does fly down the straights. And again, a little bit of locking up with the brakes there. This car is not going to take very much to get through this lap. Like, we're going to be able to do it in one go from the looks of things. Okay, just like going around these corners, it feels like a bathtub on wheels. But we should be able to come around this final one with some precision and just gun it at the end. Not spin out, please. And we should have a decent time here. I've forgotten what the decent times look like, but 146.8? Well, that puts it into 10th. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not exactly where I anticipated it being. Let's give the tall version a try. Alright, 3, 2, 1. This is the lifted version of the car. I anticipate that it'll do worse, but I mean, I did just practice with the other one, so it might do a little bit better, but as you can see, the wobbling and the high center of gravity are not doing it any favors. Yeah, this is going to be a challenge. One thing that I was unsure about with this car was the rear end, but I think it came out nice. Like, it actually looks the part. All that chrome, those lights, it's just, like, perfect. Okay, here we go. We have some confidence with this car. Probably misplaced confidence, though, as we drift the corner. Okay, so my confidence was misplaced last time with this car, but the wobbling back and forth still continues, and I am still worried. Hopefully coming around this corner this time we can do a little bit better. It seems like pretty much everything is exaggerated when you up the height this much. It seems like this car, oh boy, come on. Don't give up on me now, but it seems like this car has worse wheel spin issues. Seems like its braking is just worse. The way that it handles is worse, but hey, it looks cool. Alright, coming down the straight, we're putting the power down. I mean, burning the rubber on the wheels, but okay, there's the power. It's actually able to pick up some decent speed when you really hit it, but getting down these, oh goodness, like coming down from a fast straight like that, I just get worried. One thing that we could definitely do with this car is just drift it around the entire track, but I do not have the skills to control it through that. Okay, here we go, rounding the final corner. Will it be faster because I was gutsy, or will it be slower than its previous, a low version? Well, if it hits a wall, it's not going to be either, but well, actually, it'll be slower. Okay, 147, so that is faster? No, it's slower. It's 1 second slower. Goodness. Well, we tried. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments, and look forward to the next upcoming season of games coming up in 2 weeks, I guess it'll be. By the way, if you're interested, the subscriber showcase submission stuff should be coming out soon. I'm posting this on Friday, so it should be Saturday or Sunday. I'll put another video out talking about it, just a quick one, so you can know what's going on. And that's it. I'll see you next week.